tutorial, we're going to look at building things with multiple shapes. Now, I'm going to start building a horse using multiple shapes. But the basic theory is that everything in the world can be broken down into basic shapes, cylinders, squares, or in 3D world, spheres, cuboids, pyramids, etc. Sculptures only lets us have pyramids or flat planes. So we're going to be working at spheres, and flat planes. So we're going to be working just with the spheres today. So I've already got one sphere in and set up. This is going to be the start of the head of the horse that I'm working with. I'm also just going to scale this down very slightly because at the moment it's a bit big. And that's going to be the start of the head. Now, horses' bodies are made up of a number of spheres, which are then all linked together. So I'm going to create a new sphere, and I'm going to add the object. I'm also going to take facing the camera. I'm going to take facing the camera off. I'm going to add the object. Now this is giving me 2 because of the direction in which we're moving, but that's fine because I do kind of actually need 2 spheres in here. So long as when I deselect them using Control-D on the keyboard, it's going to be a pain. So what we need to do is we need to turn this around and just align ourselves with the camera. Alt and click allows us to do a pan, but only by aligning to the camera is it going to let us do one sphere that acts individually. So when it's facing the camera, add the object. If I go out and move my mouse apart, there's 2, or when I come into the middle, there's just the one sphere. So because I only want one, that's where I'm going to put it. I'm going to put it there. And if I turn it around, you can see where it sits in relation to my other sphere. It is not going to stay there. We're going to start off, we're going to scale it down. We still want it to be bigger by quite a bit than the head. And I'm just going to grab this and move this back and down a bit. So I now have space for my neck. I'm pressing the Alt key just to scroll through. And now I'm going to come back facing the camera again. And I'm just going to press Z just to align it straight to that center. Another sphere for the back end. I'm going to add the object and I'm just going to put it straight in there. I'm not worried about where it lies because I already know using my grab tool that I can just click and bring it back. Press Z, which should hopefully line us up horizontally, and I'm just going to bring the scale down to match my other sphere. Now these ones want to be closer together than this one because horses have fairly big back ends and they have fairly big shoulders, and this will create space for the stomach area that sits in between. This is space for our neck. So let's go back to the middle and we'll press Z just to line that up. Add another sphere. Again, we just want the one. And we turn this around. Now this one is going to actually go up here somewhere. And when we scale this down, we want it to go fairly small. Moving this up into position, this gives us the bottom end of the horse's head. If I put it up here, the horse is looking up. The horse has got its head tucked down. Now I'm going to pause at this stage just for a moment because I want to start actually modeling this. I'm going to worry about adding the legs and tail and stuff in later. But for now, I want us to start actually dragging things around. To select a sphere, you just click on it and it will deselect. More than one sphere, if for some reason you need to work on more than one sphere, is the Shift key. And to deselect, Control-D will deselect all, and then you can go back to the one that you want to work with. So, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take my grab tool off global. That gives me a circle to work with. And I'm just going to start putting in the body of this horse. So I'm going to start dragging it out. Now, there's a little bit here that says limit, which you notice I'm not doing. That's because I actually want to drag this so that it is going to blend quite nicely, hopefully, with our front sphere, which is the front end of our horse. So we've got that bit there. Now it's going in too much. Be careful when you're clicking, because that what's just happened to me there can and will happen. And I'm just going to pull this out so that it's a bit of a better shape, but it is still blending together. And we've still got the shoulders coming out over here. We'll just pull those up to make better shoulders. So I'm now starting to get a nice shape there for the horse. And that's all I'm going to pull out on this one, this back one. This is just going to go into the front circle. Now I'm going to select the front circle, and this is going to be form part of my neck. So I'm going to want to pull this up until it merges with the other sphere. Now this is quite a narrow neck at the moment, so we're just going to keep working and enlarging this neck until it looks right. Now, because this is sculpting, there is a lot of looking right that needs to go on. I'm just going to sit this in here, and I'm pulling it. All I'm doing is just pulling this around until it starts to go into the shape that I want it to go in. That's a little bit thick at the top here. I haven't got this quite right. So you can see now the start of the horse's neck shape is coming through. And I'm not worrying about fine detail at the moment. I do want my smooth tool, and I definitely don't want it inverted. I'm just going to smooth this top bit down a bit so that it blends just that little bit better with the top of this head. So we've now got that shape. Making sure we're back on the grab tool. Going to come back, literally going to pull this down until it meets the nose. And I'm going to work now on getting the shape of the head to sit in with the rest of the model. So there's bits coming through here. I'm not going to worry about that just yet. But I'm pulling this down, and what I actually want this to do is I want the top bit of this muzzle to blend seamlessly into this bottom sphere here without overlapping too much. But I'm looking at the overall shape at the minute. I'm not focusing on the details. So there we have the start shape of my horse. I'm just going to smooth this bit out slightly. It's a little bit lumpy. And at the moment, it's not too bad. We've got 17,294 polygons down at the bottom. So it's not too bad for size. It is a bit big, but I will worry about that later on. So once I've got this basic shape mapped out, and I am fairly happy with it, let's just smooth that up a little bit more at the front there, I can start using other tools and adding details. So the flatten tool, for example, turned down a fair bit on this top bit. Horses don't have cheeks that stick out and are rounded, so I'm going to flatten these in. And that will give my horse a nice flat jawline to work with. Now, most horses don't have a strange lump at the top of the head, so I'm going to flatten that down so that it comes in and actually forms part of the forehead. Just flatten that bit off as well, because that's coming from my other circle, other sphere that I had. There we go. So we've now got a slightly better shaped head here. Top of the horse's nose is usually quite flat, so I'm going to flatten that off a bit. And I'm going to flatten off just down here on both of my spheres so that I've got the shape coming in. I'm just going to... And then all I'm going to do at this point is I'm just going to keep working at this until I have something that resembles the overall shape. What I would be doing, what I should definitely be doing at this stage, is I should be flattening this off, but working from a reference picture. Now, I'm not working from a reference picture for the ease of not flicking backwards and forwards on my screen, but really you should be working from a reference picture of all sides of what you are actually modeling. But I'm just shaping this off a little bit here to get the right shape. And then I can use the same tools and add more spheres to build the rest of this horse up. Once this horse is finished, I will post a link to the website with the picture on it in the comments of this YouTube video. So anyone who wants to see how it turns out. And all I'm going to be doing from this point forward is I'll be using the draw tool, the inflate tool, pinch, crease tools, just to start actually sculpting in, maybe not quite that strongly, different features on my horse. So things like the crease for the jugular in the neck, let's pop that in there. That's still a bit on the strong side really for what I want to be doing. And just working my way around, adding in the detail. I'll be adding in the legs, adding in a tail, but that is pretty much the process that is used. A couple of things to note. If you find that your number of triangles is getting insanely big, so I'm now up to 48,000 just from doing that small bit of modeling. If you Control A on the keyboard, it will select everything, and I'm just going to reduce the selected polygons. So I'm now down to 9,320, and I haven't really lost any of the definition that I already put in there. So I can reduce that down. The amount of detail in your settings will also affect your poly count. So if you don't want to be in the situation where you've got a massive number of triangles, change the detail, and then when you draw, it actually doesn't create as many triangles down to what it does if you turn it up. Let's just undo that because that's definitely not the shape I want. If you get somewhere where you need more detail, or you've got a lot of detail on one bit, but you need it in the other, you can mask off the section that you want. So if I just mask this off, and then it's just a case of then playing around with the different brushes and only affecting the area that is selected. Thank you very much for watching.